Hello there. Thousands of motor racing fans here with us today at the Sandown Park circuit in Victoria to witness the final act in Australian motor racing's most dramatic series, the deciding race in the Tasman International Championship. This is Sports Night. The excitement here today at Sandown is unprecedented, and in a sense it's unexpected, because the Tasman Series began under something of a cloud of criticism when it was felt that there were not quite enough international drivers in the event to make it exciting. Now the Tasman has, over the last 8 races, really come out from under that cloud into a brilliant sunny day and a brilliantly set up ending, because after 8 races there are 3 drivers locked together on 30 points each, and just this race to decide the championship. Now, to add a bit more spice, 2 of those drivers, Warwick Brown and Johnny Walker, are also set fair to become the first Australian drivers to take out a Tasman. It's an event which has been dominated by British and New Zealand drivers throughout its 11-year history. So all in all today, it's a great day for Australian motor racing.
Graham Lawrence, the 33-year-old New Zealander, took out the Tasman in a Dino Ferrari in 1970. Today, he's driving a Lola. Warwick Brown, 24, from Sydney. 2 years ago, doctors gave him next to no chance after a smash at Surfers Paradise. Johnny Walker, 29, from Adelaide, sponsors himself the obvious favourite with the crowd. He's driving a Lola, and to remain financial, today he's got to win. And with a crowd of more than 30,000 watching, the 23 cars in the field are away in the final of the 75 Tasman Series.
And so the race continues. The young Sydney driver Warwick Brown has got away to a good start, and he's taking them around at the moment. This race is going to take about an hour. They've got to make 52 laps of this circuit, a little bit less than 2 miles each lap, 100 miles in all. They're reaching speeds in excess of 150 miles an hour coming down this straight. What is being tested is not only the effort that's gone into the preparation of the cars, but that peculiar blend of mental concentration and mental madness that constitutes a racing driver. Now, during the lead-up heats to this final event here today, in other states of Australia, Sports Night has been talking to some of those men behind the wheels here today. Here's John McIntosh.
If you had to nominate one driver for experience, it'd be John McCormick. To most of the other drivers, he's not quite the father figure of Formula One racing in Australia, but almost. John Davison is the other end of the scale. New to the game, a good deal younger, and filling the role more of a keen young trier than the fully fledged competitor. And Kevin Bartlett, well, through his accidents and accomplishments, perhaps as well known as any racing driver in Australia. He's as resilient as they come in what many people regard as contemporary chariot racing, or a sport for fools. Probably the most common criticism of motor racing is that you blokes only are in it because there's a death wish about all of you. Do you have a death wish, John McCormick?
No, not at all. I saw a couple of guys' signatures once, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, that fellow's got a death wish." And I thought, what the hell's this, you know? I certainly haven't. In fact, I get as scared as the next bloke, you know. But and I think because you get scared, I think because all of us get a bit scared, it makes us all the more cautious and I think competitive because of this.
No, I wouldn't actually say I get scared, but I think there are times where you do have to pluck up a lot of courage. I was speaking to Maxie Stewart earlier on today, and I was saying, you know, where are you going in under brakes over the top of the hill in Marlborough country? He said, oh, you know, I go into about 100 yards. And I said, what? How? I'm only going to about 250. And he says, well, you've got to talk to yourself when you go over the top of there.
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, but I get a little bit frightened.
Do you ever stop and ask yourself why you're doing it then, if that's the case?
I spend enough time in hospital to ask myself those questions, and I feel that I answer them to myself quite adequately in hospital.
And what answers did you give yourself?
Well, a fatalist attitude for a starter, in a lot of respects. However, not to the point where I'm going to be full of bravado about it. I'm not about to hop up and hang myself on a fence again just to prove that I've thought it out.
Right.
I certainly don't want to get hurt again, but by the same token, if my number's up about getting hurt again, well, it happens, you know, that's all there is to it. Things can happen in race cars, and no matter how good you are or how good you think you are, they can still happen.
We're prone to probably 6 particular kinds of accidents, and just by our clothing or the way the cars are built or the equipment that we use, we stand a very good chance of survival from, you know, a very high-speed crash.
John, I don't know about you, but occasionally I find that I know that I can go into a 95-yard mark, but I knock it off at 110 because I think, now, if that throttle doesn't come off the floorboard at the 95-yard mark, I've got no margin at all.
That's
so
right.
I'll let it off at 110.
Yeah.
It's slower.
Yeah.
It's slower,
um,
but it's safer.
Kevin, you'd be the worst affected by injuries, wouldn't you, of the 3, I'd say?
Oh, physically maybe, but not mentally.
Which is very important.
It's important to me.
But my thought was that when you have been in a severe accident, what thoughts go through your mind?
As it's happening, I can't say it because you don't allow words like that. But it's quite a violent thing. There's only one word that comes out, and usually it's a 4-letter word. And you don't have time to think of anything else. You don't have time to think of what is happening, you know. It's all happening about you, but you just don't think of that sort of thing. You think of why you're doing what you're doing, you know.
When we have an accident, usually it's our own private accident. If you're driving along on the open road and you're doing 80 miles an hour or 60, whatever the limit is, 80 say, and you've got another guy coming at 80, well, your possible impact speed's 160, which is higher than what we sort of normally crash at. You seem to be doing 20 things at once when you're running close with another chap and your brain's spinning flat out, all the wheels are going. But when this failure happens and you realise you're going to hit the fence, it all sort of slows down and you think, oh, hell, I'm going to hit here, you know. There's nothing I can do about it. You put the brakes on and it won't stop. You turn the wheel and it won't turn. And so you just hang on. You're strapped in and you've got your fireproof gear on and all the rest of it. You've got all this preventive maintenance that's been done on the car, crushable structures and so forth. And there you are sitting there having your own private accident, getting ready to survive.
Back at Sandown and up the back straight, Brown's just in front of Goss on the outside with Johnny Walker on the inside. And watch Walker's car on the inside of the track. Johnny Walker's smash again, this time in slow motion. But the smash hasn't affected the race, although Goss has moved up to take second place with Max Stewart in third as they spear through Dunlop Corner and move into the main straight. Warwick Brown's got about a 3 or 4 second lead over Goss as they break to go round Shell Corner and into Pit Straight. It looks like developing into a tussle between the 2 Sydney drivers. They've started lapping the back markers as they move into the main straight again, and still the order's the same. Brown, then Goss, then Stewart. The blue flag's out, and Warwick Brown's moving through at, say, 160, 170 into the sharp left at Shell corner. Up the hill to Marlborough Bridge and past the wreckage of Johnny Walker's car. Walker's been taken to hospital, but the car looks like a write-off. The order down the back is Brown, Goss, Stewart and McCormick, only seconds between them. And it's those seconds that make all the difference in this race. John McIntosh spoke to McCormick as he worked on his car for this race.
Thousands of dollars are spent in practicing and perfecting, testing tyres, engine and suspension. John McCormick uses the International Raceway in Adelaide as his test track and regards these preliminaries as possibly the most vital part of his Tasman challenge.
No honesty.
Not initially.
Back to how we finished up last week.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad then. But it's wandery now.
Could you just sort of lay off?
The whole process of testing the car is a tedious one, at times even trial and error. In fact, at times it wouldn't be at all that pleasant if you had to do it regularly in hot conditions like these. Probably in no other sport is there the need to adapt to new concepts and ideas as there is in open-wheel car racing. As technology moves, so does racing. And that's the kind of speed which makes keeping up with the Joneses a must.
If you don't get onto them very early and incorporate them in your vehicle, well, you're odd man out and half a second off the pace before you know it.
And does that leave you a long way behind, half a second?
Yes, the cars are so fast that, well, if in qualifying, if you're a half a second too slow in a 50-lap race, you're 25 seconds behind, and at 150, that's a long way.
When competition can be timed to the nearest half second, you'd expect bitter rivalry between racing teams, but they exchange quite a lot of information.
General information we do. I think the mechanics share general information, like what, if you arrive at a new circuit, one mechanic may ask the other mechanic what gear ratios he's using, and the other mechanic will tell him because it saves the other guy a lot of work. I mean, we'll eventually end up using the same ratios.
Well, perhaps without giving any secrets, what sort of things would you like not to tell other drivers?
Well, what tyre compound I'm using. It's a fairly critical one. And what power output the engine has.
Tasman drivers fall into two categories in their approach to winning the series. The blokes who go all out, all the time, trying to make every post a winner, that is, those who place a lot of importance on being the fastest in practice. And then there are the drivers happy to maintain a consistent pace and position in the field, yet keep as close as possible to the lap record times. John McCormick uses the latter approach, percentage driving.
Very often those last few tenths of a second that you try and clip off a lap time does untold damage to the car. You're bouncing it off curbs and over-revving the engine and so on, and invariably this causes breakages and so forth. So it doesn't pay to, I don't think, to abuse the machine just to be the fastest man in practice.
Well, let's see what you get out of this lap.
This race is very well advanced now, and what had been a handy lead for young Warwick Brown has developed into something of a procession. He's leading them around, and the young Sydney driver is well set at this stage to become the first Australian driver to take out a Tasman. It's an expensive and somewhat rarefied class, this Formula 5000. Although the drivers out there are very competitive on the track, they are united in one thing, and that is in the promotion of their sport. Let's just leave the action here for a moment and get a little bit more background from John McIntosh.
When you're in motor racing of this standard, the maintenance of your car comes first, which explains the rather tardy arrival of Australian champion Max Stewart and New Zealander Graham Lawrence to our Sports Night group interview.
Oh, it's just had a big cough, I think.
You and Max are the favourites for this, aren't you, this Tasman Series?
Yeah, we think we are.
Seriously, like, in terms of the Tasman Series, do you feel it's a class event?
Class?
Mm.
And as much as being a first-class event?
Mm.
Oh, certainly. It's very well thought of overseas. I was just recently in America, and there were quite a few people over there that asked me what was shaping up in the Tasman Series, how did it look, you know, what was going on, etc.
That etc. of Kevin's, however, quietly underlines a fact of Australian Formula One racing: the reluctance of Australians to accept the Tasman Series as a potential world-class event when they so readily turn to touring car races like the Bathurst 1000. The drivers who regard Formula One racing as the pinnacle of their sport don't like to see their 5-litre babies made second favourite to touring cars through what they say is a lack of promotion for one against an abundance of promotion for the other. Kevin Bartlett won Bathurst last year.
I've got a new slant on things since Bathurst that I don't want to go touring car, don't get me wrong, but it's if you want to earn a bit of a name, a bit of a package, go out and win a couple of touring car races.
These touring cars are backed up with a lot of heavy advertising and promotion by the motor manufacturer. If they want to call themselves promoters and they want to promote Formula 5000 or Formula 1 racing, they've got to promote the drivers as individuals and as personalities so that people will come and see the controversial Kevin Bartlett or Max Stewart punch it out at Sandown or something like that.
What's this controversial bit?
Just figuratively
I've
speaking.
never been controversial. You take that back, come on. We're only joking, you know, we're sort of...
Can we then make the Tasman Series a world-class series? Would it take much
Geography
work?
is the biggest killer, as I see. It's so far away.
This is
No,
dead right.
I don't think geography so much as money. You know, like
Well,
the
that's
whole lot
geography.
of our Tasman Series, the whole amount of prize money that's put in over 8 races, is only one race in the States.
See, they rely along the point that their sponsors, and before they budget and start for a season, they budget with their sponsorship to cover all their expenses and everything for the whole season, so that if they have a blow-up or, you know, have a shunt or something like that, it's all covered before they start. And the prize money has got to be the extra on top of it, you know, to provide, say, the bonuses. And there just isn't the money out here to be able to do such a thing.
In terms of age, how long can you keep racing on this sort of circuit?
Well, AJ Foyt's in his 50s, isn't he, in the America? AJ Foyt.
AJ's 38.
Do I dare ask you, John?
Even?
Do I dare ask you an age question?
Oh yes, I think the determining factor in, or the most critical factor in determining how long you can drive a formula car competitively is your eyesight. That's what I feel anyway. And whilst you've got a good eyesight and reasonable physical condition, there's no reason why you can't be running them at 45 years of age. So,
In that case, what makes a good driver, do you think?
dedication.
But do you need to physically train for it, Max?
I don't know what you're talking about, physical training. What do you mean?
Do any of you know what I'm talking about? Do any of you train physically?
I train about 3 or 4 nights a week, just calisthenics and running.
Really?
Yeah, but
That's
I
why
don't
John's
let
not
it...
going real well at the moment, sir.
Physical fitness is not the thing, it's a mental
Yeah.
alertness.
Yeah.
If you're physically fit, you're mentally alert. This does happen, but if your mind is working correctly, it's all in the head. The whole thing is in the head. You've got to have certain...
If your arms are aching, Kevin, you can't. You're
Yes,
off.
but you've got to be reasonably fit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can't be an utter out-and-out slob about it, but if your mind is fit, it takes a lot of the strain off you physically.
Oh yeah.
Don't you find, though, that if you say, had a couple of weeks where you've really done, say, perhaps some good exercise of sorts, that you can run a race better, though?
I think the more race driving you do, the more switched on you get all the way through. There's no two ways about that. At the end of a Tasman Series, you'll be much sharper than what you are.
This is the problem in this country. We don't have enough races.
Do you all prefer driving in Formula One?
Yeah,
Definitely. Just as blokes, and the way they help each other out, and the fact that they're vitally interested in what everyone's doing, and they ask what problems you've got, and can I help you with any bits, blokes? And I think you'll find this is...
Are they all going to be like that at the end of the series, though?
No, they'll be frightened like cats and dogs.
Would you still be willing to give, say, a set of brake pads to your nearest opponent at the 7th race?
can't see why not. You know, like KB and I have been doing this for years. I know, like in last year's Tasman Series, after I blew a motor at Surfers Paradise, I was fresh out of them, and I carried one thankfully I just had to carry it the whole time, but Kevin's motor in the back of my truck. So, you know, like it was there as a standby the whole time, and this is the way it goes. We sort of don't seem to think much of borrowing or lending to one another.
But by the same token, Max, I had no use for a motor. That bed I was driving doesn't handle too well.
Back at Sandown and 2 laps to go. Brown still in the lead, chased by John Goss. Graham Lawrence dropped out at the 43rd lap with fuel pressure problems, but it looks like Warwick Brown's out of the race. He's heading for the pits. Brown's got to finish to pick up his points to take out the Tasman, but there's no way he can win this race, and John Goss takes the lead. Brown's refueled and he's back in action, and he's moving out of the pits. But Goss has got a stranglehold on this race. He's being chased by John McCormick, with Max Stewart holding on to 3rd place. And it's over, with Goss crossing the line in front of McCormick and Stewart. But with Lawrence and Walker out of the race, the Tasman Series goes to Warwick Brown, who'll pick up a point for finishing. For the young Sydney driver, it's a great moment. But during the celebrations, they still realise that Johnny Walker is in hospital. John Goss was the driver closest to Walker when he lost it.
We had a dice on the start. John had a reasonable start, but he fouled it up on the first corner, and I was able to pass him down pit straight, or draw alongside him on pit straight, and then go round the outside in Peter's corner, which was a dodgy move because the circuit where I was very gravelly. But we pulled out of there neck and neck, and I out-dragged him up the back straight, and as we swung under Marlborough Country Bridge and down through the S's, I was sure John was gone from the rear because there was just no disturbance, and I checked the mirrors down the straight. Sure enough, there was quite a gap. I knew there'd been an incident. Next lap round it didn't look very good, and it affected me for probably 15 laps. Every time I saw the car there, I just wondered how bad John Walker was. I was delighted on the run-off lap when I pulled up over there and asked the officials to find that he was recovering in hospital.
For Warwick Brown, the Tasman title and the introduction he needs to the big time. He's got the title, but is this the way he would have preferred to have won?
No, I much would have preferred it to have won it, but the car hiccuped on the second last lap, which means I was running close to the wind on fuel. And at that stage, I wasn't sure whether Graham Lawrence was still running or not, and I really couldn't take the chance to continue. I had to call in and get fuel and make sure I picked the place up to assure me of the championship.
You didn't want to take the gamble of staying in front and perhaps not finishing?
Well, no, because then I would have run the risk of losing the series. If Graham had got a point, I would have lost the series.
2 years ago, when you remember what happened up in Surfers Paradise, did you ever think this day had possible, where you've got the championship?
Well, you know, I suppose we all dream. We have to dream. That's what keeps us going. And yes, I thought one day I possibly could win a Tasman Championship. And you know, I suppose
even when you were lying there.
Well, you know, you do a lot of thinking. It was mainly the 3 months in hospital that makes you do all this thinking, and that's sort of what kept me going.
The Tasman Motor Racing Championships, and the good news is that Johnny Walker escaped from that tremendous pile-up virtually without a scratch.